when I heard about the suicide and you see the rates in New Zealand of how bad they were, I sort of felt ashamed that I didn't know about it,
Mm,
because I had a really nice house and a nice life and things, and my own business and that, and things are going well. But then you hear about these people who you're actually helping. The suicide is in the construction sector is significant. I felt sort of bad that I wasn't aware of this. And so it started then, researching and looking at that point in time. And what I've learned over the years is we've had to change what my mindset was through meeting leading psychologists, leading researchers, and even my own research, kind of going around the world looking at what works well and what doesn't. And ultimately what I did was over a period of a few years, I created like a checklist of what works well and what doesn't. And then started sort of looking at technology, which is where my skill set lies, and creating process, and incorporating technology into that to kind of make things, slicker or easier. I wanted to create something that deterred you from going to your phone. And also I wanted to create something that was going to apply to every generation, which is a big challenge out there at the minute. And I think everybody just quickly jumps towards apps and applications. And I felt that, as I say, that's something we had to stay away from. So that became a huge challenge in itself. And so then I started with like creating a mass communication tool, which was a text message process where an organization can go into a CRM and they can have all their staff listed in it. And then they can create different categories of people. So people in Auckland or people within Auckland as management versus employees and things. They could basically send the message out, but the CRM uses their name. So we kind of integrate to a text message process, to an SMS provider, and they can write the message and the system's reading the CRM. So it has their name. So we're personalizing it, which is really important. That's the first thing, because one of the things you want to do is making sure that these people feel valued. And then the next thing was we added in the ability to be multilingual of this. You have to remember that we're dealing with people who are on the other end of this phone or this message that they're going to receive, that they're not interested in giving you data. They could be on the verge of just ending things. And so for me, I wanted to make things personal, make them feel valued. And that became a text message that would go out, and then I would have a triage process. I think if you speak to any mental health specialist today, their real focus is on getting data and information. And I'm not saying that this is not deliberate, obviously, but I think that they sort of have got a little bit sidetracked in the sense where it should be people first. So for me, I wanted to create this system with the CRM system so we could personalize the message so that have their name. I wanted to make it multilingual so they would feel valued. I wanted to give them the ability when they replied back to the message, it was no cost to them. So again, and that's a really important part of this, because if you look at probably, I think the stats were something around about 45% of mental health financial challenges are in there. So out of that 45%, how many probably don't have an app? So if you have an app then, and you're trying to use technology to support a solution, well, you're failing right away. So for me, having the message, the text message that goes out, they're going to receive a text message whether they've got credit on their phone or not. And the fact that we integrate the system back into a service provider, the texts are free. So when the person replies back, they sort of answer the question, they read it, it's personal, it's in their language, they can reply back to the message. It's no cost to them. And then what we're doing at that point is we're triaging the response. And that's all part of the setup when you send the text message out. And that triage response, and if they need support, if they need help instantly, we are connecting them to that professional support who can call them within minutes. So it's a very different approach to some of the solutions that are out there today. That's only obviously one solution. This next step off that for me is the part where we capture the data and the information. So up until this point, we're purely focusing on the individual, and those messages that are going out, they could be, if you think about society, it could be like just a proactive approach where you're just doing a check-in, or there could be a major event, a serious weather event, or a serious, or some of the banks, they've had people held up, or there's been aggressive customers and you just want to check in. So you can literally go in and use the solution right away. And ultimately, if they need that support, it'll go to the professional support, and they're obviously supporting the people within minutes. The other part to that is that the professional support, it's them when they call the individual, that the person is now being held, they're being supported. We're now starting to capture the data. If they want to give you their name or not, we can capture all that. We capture what the nature of the issue is, and their age and their demographic. We start to capture at that point. So what we've done here is we've turned the tables a little bit on the mindset at the minute, where it's always about, well, how do we capture the data at the start? You want them to put your information in at the start, and some of the solutions that we've seen, but the people, they're not interested in that. They want confidential. They want it to be confidential, or they're not going to open up and tell you. So the first part of what we've achieved is that confidentiality. And then when they get the professional support, they're more open to sharing what the challenge is. And that is where we capture the data. And then we actually have a proactive approach around managing the next steps, which is what we call support action. And that would go through to, an example, if they kind of advise them on something they need to do and they want to check in on them the next day, they can kind of set that all up and the system will notify the professional support to follow up and make sure that person gets that help. And what's really important about the system is we've got a hierarchy notification process. So if the person was to be contacted by that professional support the next day at 12 o'clock, and 12 o'clock comes and goes, the system will give 3 hours for the professional support to update the system. And if they haven't, it's then notifying someone else within the organization that the professional support hasn't contacted Ivan or Kevin. And so it's making sure that that person's getting that support, that we're following up and getting them the help. And if you're doing that on a regular basis with people, you're starting to capture quite a lot of data and information.